Hi, I'm Rob, and this is Holy Week. Holy Week is the most important week in all of history, but to talk about it is to tell a story of a king, a good king, the best king, the King of Kings, who stepped down from his throne to save his people. His people were under attack from an evil king. He not only attacked them with his minions, but he tricked them into doing bad things and trapped them so they couldn't stop. When the good king stepped down from his throne, he lived just like his people. In fact, many didn't recognize who he was, except for the bad king and his minions. The good king lived a simple life as a servant. He traveled around with 12 friends, teaching people about himself and how to live according to his rules, which were just how to love God and how to love one another. But people still didn't recognize him. He also did great things, special things, things like heal people. He helped blind people to see and people who couldn't walk to actually run. But still, not everyone knew who he was. That was until Palm Sunday, the first day of Holy Week, when the good king rode into the city of Jerusalem. As he rode a donkey into the city, people grabbed palm branches and their coats and threw them on the road as they sang and shouted praises. They welcomed him as a king, though I don't think they really knew he was a king, because the shouts of praise at the beginning of the week became shouts of anger by the end. For the first couple of days afterwards, the good king went to this place called the temple, a place where folks gathered and worshiped God. At least they were supposed to. But on that day, they were doing bad things. When they should have been loving one another and loving God, there were many there who were using the temple to make money off of others. This made the king very angry, not only because he loved God, but because God was his father. So he drove out the folks who were misusing God's temple. That made some of the people very, very angry. Throughout that week, he continued to teach and help people, but still, folks kept getting angry. So angry that some of them wanted to kill him. On Thursday, the good king had prepared a special meal to have with his 12 friends. A meal that he had waited for a long time to have with them. A special meal that he had promised that he would have with them again. But it wouldn't be until much later, when his kingdom had fully broken through as a new kingdom, free of the bad king. Though he was happy to have the meal, he was sad, because he knew what would happen next. It was at that meal that he revealed that he would die the next day, that one of his friends would deny him, and that one of his other friends would betray the good king by turning him over to the people who wanted to kill him. Then, using a piece of bread and a cup full of drink, he taught them how his death would save people from the bad king. Later that evening, the good king, who had become very sad and afraid about what was going to happen, went to a special garden to pray. He brought his friends with him and asked 3 of his closest friends to follow him and pray with him closely. But they fell asleep. They kept falling asleep. At some point in the middle of the night, the good king's friend who had went to betray him brought the Pharisees to capture the good king. The betrayer nor the Pharisees realized it, but they were working for the bad king. And so they arrested him. They beat the good king. They lied about the good king, saying he had done bad things. The truth is, the good king had never done a single bad thing. They then nailed him to this thing called a cross, and that is where the good king died. We call the day that this happened Good Friday. Now you may be wondering, why do we call such a day Good Friday? Because it was on that day the good king saved his people. The good king's name is Jesus, and on that day he defeated the bad king. You see, the bad king, Satan, had trapped the good king's people into doing bad things. The bad things broke the good king's rules. Satan knew that the good king was just, and by being just, the good king wouldn't let bad things go unpunished. He couldn't. But what the bad king didn't know was that the good king was loving and just, and that the good king wanted to die on the cross, because on that cross he took the punishment for all those who had broken his rules. It made it so that all the people had to do was believe, and all the bad things they had done would be forgiven. But Holy Week doesn't stop there, because though Jesus died on Good Friday, on the third day, which was the Sunday that was a week after Palm Sunday, Jesus rose again, not only defeating the bad king, but also death itself. For all who believe in the good King and receive his gift not only are forgiven, but one day will get to live with the good King in his new kingdom forevermore. Holy Week is not only the most important week in human history, it's the most important week in your life because, dear viewer, you are one of Jesus' people. The good King died for you, all so that all you'd have to do is believe in him in order to receive this gift. And that's why he brought you here today to hear the story about Holy Week.